Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be making the bowl koozie. I have a free PDF pattern. You can download that on my blog. I have that linked in the description below the video. And I know I've done a bowl koozie before, but it was using your Cricut. So I wanted to show those of you who don't have a Cricut and that are new to sewing, this is a very beginner friendly, super easy project to make. And these make great gift ideas for Christmas or for craft fairs. Super easy to make. They don't take a whole lot of materials. And I think they're a lot of fun. If you're not familiar with these, they're used to put it around a bowl. So when you put something in the microwave, you can easily pick it up without touching the hot bowl, or you could use it with ice cream so that you don't have your hands on a cold bowl. So without further ado, let's get started. And don't forget to pick up your free PDF on the blog. Again, it's linked in the description below the video. Some of you have problems trying to find those. Click under the video, click where it says see more, and you'll see a link to go right to the download. Just make sure that you just click download. Don't click the PayPal button. It's a free pattern, as most of my downloads are. So let's get started. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need some pens or clips. You're going to need 2 pieces of fabric cut to approximately 11.5 by 11.5, 12 by 12, somewhere in there. And you're going to need 2 pieces of 100% cotton batting. It's very important that it is 100% cotton batting. I'm using this one. It's called Warm and Natural Needled Cotton Batting. You can also use Wrap and Zap. There's several available. I'll link this one in the description below the video. And then you're also going to need my PDF pattern. I have this linked in the description below. It's going to print out on a couple of pages. You're just going to cut it right where you see the arrow, match the arrows up, and then cut your pattern out. To make things a little bit easier for the video, I just made myself a hard template of the bowl koozie pattern, and that's what we're going to use. If you have a Cricut, they have put my bowl koozie pattern in Cricut Design Space, so you can cut that out with your Cricut. One word I will tell you on the Cricut version is if you take a piece of transfer tape and put that on your mat, sticky side up, before you cut your batting, that'll save your mat from getting all the fuzzies from the batting on your mat. So then when you're done, you can just peel that off. So that's a little trick, and I will link my original bowl koozie video for the Cricut in the description below the video if you want to see more about how I did that. But I wanted to do this version for those who don't have the Cricut, and just because I needed to make one anyway for my hairdresser. So what we're going to do is start out with our batting, and we need 2 pieces of cotton batting. We need 2 templates cut out from our batting. So I have 2 pieces here, right here, and this is cut to, let's see, it's bigger than I need. This is about 13.5, and it's way longer than I need. I think I can get 2 out of this, 2 bowl koozies. But for one, you just need 2 pieces cut to about 12 by 12, I would say is plenty. You're going to put this side on the fold, and you're just going to cut. And again, if you're using the template, it's the exact same thing. You're gonna have this template cut out. You're just gonna place this side on the fold and cut around it. So just to make it fast for the video, I've made a hard template just so I can cut it faster. Oops. So I just like to go right past the cutout and get these straight edges cut first. And then cut that. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with a rotary cutter and you're using scissors, you can always take a marker and just outline this and then cut it out. And actually, I think for that particular cutout, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to get these pieces off of here. There we go. Now remove my template, keeping these all lined up. I'm just going to cut that out with scissors so that I can keep it precise. So now what I'm going to do is fold that back up, and I'm just going to take a ruler and I'm just going to trim off. I'm just eyeballing it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just going to trim off about 1/4 of an inch off that straight edge. And then I'm going to open it up, fold it this way, and do the same thing. And this is just going to make our batting slightly smaller so that it doesn't get in our seam allowances so much. If you have the cricket pattern, this is already done for you in the design. When you cut the batting, it'll be just slightly bit shorter. So there we have our 2 pieces of batting. All right, so now we need to cut our fabric. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take 2 pieces, fold it in half. I'm going to line these up. I'll put my template down, cut on the fold, so the fold's right here. And I'm just going to cut the and again, I'm just going to mark this little cutout with a fabric marker and then use scissors to cut that out, just so that I can keep it nice and precise. So now what we need to do, we've got our batting that's cut just slightly smaller than our fabric. We're going to put the fabric pretty side down, take a piece of the batting and center it right on top. Let me get this one out from under so you can see. And you can see that by trimming it and lining up these points, we've kept those edges out of the seam allowance. And that just makes everything a little bit easier. All right, and now you can pin or clip this into place, whatever works best for you. I'm just going to put some clips in. We're going to be sewing from one corner to the opposite, so when you pin, you might want to pin along these straight edges. Just keep them out of your way later. So now what we're going to do is take this over to our sewing machine, and we're going to stitch from one corner to the other. And if you want to mark it with a pin, you can. If you don't, I honestly usually just eyeball it, but we'll mark it just so you can see where I'm talking about. And then what I like to do, just to step it up a notch, is go ahead and sew from here to here and from here to here. I just like the way it looks, but you don't have to do that. At the very most, you want to sew from this corner to this corner and this corner to this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and mark both of them. So now you're going to take it over to your sewing machine and you're just going to stitch on your lines on both of your pieces. So when you're all done, it's going to look something like this. You might just have an X, or if you went the extra mile and put the extra 2 stitches in, it's going to look something like this. What I did though, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but when I come up to the center, I just kind of try to make sure that my lines are all intersecting at the same spot. I just think it has kind of a neat look on the back. So once you've got this done, you're just going to take both of your pieces and turn them pretty sides together and fold them back in half, meeting up those notches. And we're just going to clip this together. I'm mostly concerned about these notches. Trying to keep everything even. Do that to this one. And we're just matching up the notches. Matching up the notches. All right, now you want to take it over to the sewing machine and you're going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, back stitching at the beginning and the end across this notch, this notch, this notch, and this notch. We're leaving this side open. So this is the folded edge. We're going to sew here, 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 and here. Folded edge on both, the open sides on the open. So go ahead and stitch those 4 corners. Once you have that done, it's going to look something like this if you try to open it. So what you're going to do next is open it and then fold it so that you're folding those 2 seams that you just sewed, you're going to fold those so they're touching. And again, we're concentrating on the folded edge side, and we're going to clip that. So these are the seams we just sewed. We're working over here, we're matching up our corners, clipping it into place. We're going to repeat it on this one. We're going to open it up and fold it the other direction and concentrate on the folded edge. Lining up our fabric and our batting. Now we're going to repeat what we just did. We're going to stitch 1/4 inch seam allowance across both of those edges on the folded side only, leaving this side open. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have that done. It's going to start looking like a bowl if you open it up, just like that. So now what we're going to do is turn one of these wrong side out, or right side out, I guess, just like this. So now we're looking at batting and we're looking at lining. What you're going to do is take the one with the batting and place it inside the one with the outer fabric so that we have batting on the outside, batting on the inside. First thing you're going to do is match up your seams. Push one to the left, one to the right, matching up that fabric. Same over here. Go all the way around, matching up the seams first. And then go ahead and finish clipping it the rest of the way around, matching up your corners and the rest of the fabric. When you're all done pinning, it should look something like this. So now what we need to do is mark an area for us to turn this all right side out when we're done. So again, I'm going to grab my fabric marker and I'm going to mark a spot on one of the straight edges. You don't want to start at a corner to start sewing. It just makes it very hard to conceal that corner when you're turning it right side out. So I'm just going to start somewhere over here and I'm going to leave a mark. And I'm not going to go all the way to the corner, but I'm going to go right there. So that's about 2.5 inches right between the seams and the corner. And that's where I'm going to start and stop sewing. So again, I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And if you end up stitching on top of your batting, it's fine. I just had you cut that down so that there's not so much in the corners. So it shifts when you sew a little bit, and if you're sewing over it in some spots and not in others, it's perfectly fine. Don't stress about it. We're going to back stitch here, sew up, pivot, so all the way down here, pivot, back around, stopping at your second mark. So again, start here, and then you're going to come to the corner, pivot, sew down. You'll get to this seam, and you're going to have to pivot a little bit more into there. And work your way all the way around, leaving this gap open. So once you have that sewn, you can see I left the opening all the way, or I sewed all the way around, but I left that opening right here between my 2 marks. We're going to grab our scissors and we're going to cut these corners off, being careful not to cut into our seams. If you seem to have any excess seam allowance, you can go ahead and cut that off if you weren't quite precise or your fabric shifted. So now what you're going to do is reach inside that opening, make sure that you reach between the 2 pieces of fabric and begin to turn this out. I find it easiest to go to the furthest corner, put my finger in it and kind of pull that out first, and then work my way around the rest of it. Be careful. And then you want to use a pen, a chopstick, something that you can reach inside that hole and push these corners out. You want the corners nice and squared off. I am using a bone folder, which is very similar to a point turner. And just pushing those corners out. You want to do that on all 4 corners. This is another reason why we don't start and stop in the corner. One more corner here. All right. So once you have everything pushed out, you should be able to start to put this into shape. And now what I like to do is take it over to my ironing surface where I left that opening. And I am going to make sure that those raw edges are tucked in and that it looks seamless. And I'm going to press that into place. I'm going to press around the edges just to get everything nice and tidy and neat. Trim off any threads and then meet me back here. So once you have everything clipped into place, it's going to look like this. You can see this is where my opening is, and I just put the clip there to remind me to slow down and make sure that that's nice and lined up. So what you're going to do now is take it over to the sewing machine and you're going to top stitch about 1/8 of an inch away, or as close to the edge as you want your top stitch, all the way around. That's going to close up this opening and it's going to give it a nice finished look. But you can see how nice that crisscross looks on the bottom, and basically you're done. So just go ahead and top stitch all the way around, and that is your basic bowl koozie. You can see I finished my top stitching all the way around. It's reversible. You can use it either way. Kind of fold those corners down, and then here, this is just a Fiesta ware bowl, but this fits about every one of the bowls that I have, like cereal bowl size or soup bowl size. So the purpose is that you can use this in the microwave to get your hot soup out, or you can use it with ice cream so that you don't freeze your hands, whatever you want to use it for. But these make great gifts and make great craft fair ideas. My hairdresser, every time I go, I try to take her one. She said they use these quite a bit. So again, there is a PDF on my blog. Click see more and you can download that free PDF. If you have a Cricut, it's already in Cricut Design Space. Just search Bowl Koozie. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to click that bell so that you're notified every time there is a new video. And as always, never stop making. See ya. Bye-bye.